Reality isn't what it seems. It isn't a chain of separate events, nor a fixed timeline of things that just happen to you. Reality is a mirror. It bends and folds around the quality of your observation, the way you look at it. In every moment, you are both the one who watches and the one being watched. Every thought is a wave, and every conclusion you draw collapses that wave into a form. The universe doesn't hand you what you deserve. It reflects who you believe you are. Let's imagine that every emotion, every situation, and every identity is suspended inside a vast field of possibilities. In that field, light and shadow are not enemies. They are two sides of the same current, dancing between expression and withdrawal, between expansion and contraction. This is what mystics called the law of reversal, and physicists discovered as wave-particle duality. What you call reality is consciousness choosing which possibility to solidify. When you look at the world through fear, you collapse that vibration into form. When you look through faith, the wave reorganizes around certainty. And here's the secret few ever grasp. Every negative emotion is not a block, but a seed of its opposite. Fear is compressed courage. Scarcity is abundance, still hidden in shadow. Despair is potential energy, waiting to flip its polarity. The faster you stop resisting the shadow, the faster it becomes light. You've been trained to believe that manifestation is about chasing what you want. But what if it's about learning to flip what you already have? Shadow flipping means using every inner contrast as a portal, not a prison. You don't fight pain, you reinterpret it. You don't reject failure, you use its charge to fuel transformation. Because the moment you stop judging what is, it begins to move toward what it's meant to become. Think of life as a spectrum. On one end lies lack, on the other lies abundance. Most people oscillate unconsciously, reacting to each extreme. But the masters of consciousness don't react, they shift. They know that both poles are the same essence, in different degrees of expression. When you stop rejecting one side, the entire spectrum becomes usable. Energy begins to circulate. What once looked like a problem becomes raw material for expansion. In truth, manifestation isn't creation from nothing. It's selection from everything. Every outcome already exists in potential. The question is, which pole are you energizing through attention? Your thoughts are not requests to the universe. They are tuning knobs on a radio of infinite frequencies. Each belief is a frequency. Each emotion, a carrier wave. The station you align with determines what song your reality starts to play. Now let's go deeper. Imagine the double-slit experiment, that famous discovery that shattered the boundaries between science and mysticism. When no one watches, light behaves as a wave, infinite, free, undefined. But the instant an observer looks, it collapses into a particle, something concrete, measurable, and real. Consciousness doesn't just record the universe, it shapes it. That means observation isn't passive, it's creative. And if that's true in physics, it's true in psychology. When you define yourself as unworthy, you freeze a quantum field of infinite possibility into a single identity, the particle of limitation. But when you soften your observation, when you stop labeling yourself or your life as, "This is how I always am," you reopen the field, you return to the wave. That's why confusion often precedes transformation. It's the moment before a new definition collapses into being. Think of the times you've changed profoundly. There was always a phase of uncertainty, when everything felt blurry, when you didn't know who you were anymore. That was not chaos, it was creative suspension. The moment you said, "This means growth," reality reorganized around that statement. You didn't escape the darkness, you redefined it, and the polarity flipped. The shadow became fuel for light. This is the essence of shadow flipping, the art of reinterpreting the poles instead of resisting them. Life is not punishing you with contrast. It's training you to master polarity. Every emotion you run from only grows louder, because resistance is attention-wearing armor. When you drop the armor, what was heavy becomes soft. The universe breathes again through you. Polarity is not just philosophy, it's physics for the soul. Everything you desire already exists, but on the opposite frequency of what you fear. Fear and desire are twins, born of the same vibration. To move from one to the other, you don't need more force, you need awareness. You need to see that they are not separate roads, but one continuous path, and you are free to walk in either direction. When you feel anxiety, don't suppress it. Observe it as energy in motion. Beneath every trembling thought is vitality seeking new expression. When you stay still long enough to witness it without judgment, that vibration begins to transmute. It's not suppression, it's alchemy. The energy that once paralyzed you begins to feed your creativity. That is the pivot point, where pain becomes power. This movement between opposites is the secret rhythm behind all manifestation. Night and day, inhale and exhale, expansion and contraction. Creation dances in these pairs. When you embrace both poles equally, you begin to hold reality in balance. This is harmony, the final stage where duality dissolves into unity. Here, manifestation happens not because you force it, but because nothing in you resists it anymore. But before harmony, you must pass through inversion, the conscious flipping of energy. Inversion means asking one simple question whenever you feel stuck. What is the exact opposite of this state? If you feel fear, act in courage. If you feel scarcity, express generosity. If you feel invisible, choose to serve. These are not acts of denial, they are acts of redirection. Energy always obeys movement. When you act as if the opposite is already real, the universe must recalibrate to match you. Let's make this tangible. Suppose you're caught in self-doubt. Your instinct might be to overcompensate, to chase validation, to prove yourself. But that keeps you locked in the same polarity, still vibrating at the frequency of lack. Instead, breathe, slow down, and recognize the doubt as the early stage of confidence forming. Speak one truth anyway. Take one action despite the tremor. Each time you do, the current flips. Doubt becomes determination. Hesitation becomes momentum. Action inverts emotion faster than thought. Thinking can loop for days, but one small movement tells your subconscious a new story. That's why embodiment is the real key to manifestation. The body understands polarity before the mind does. Straighten your spine when you feel small. Breathe deeper when fear contracts your chest. Smile softly when you feel unseen. These physical inversions send signals of new identity through your nervous system, rewriting your vibration at the speed of biology. Every breath you take is an opportunity to reverse the flow. When you exhale longer than you inhale, your body receives a message of safety. The storm quiets. From there, language becomes your next lever. Catch yourself saying, "I can't," and replace it with, "I'm learning to." One phrase changes nothing in logic, but everything in vibration. Words are switches. They redirect current from resistance to openness. If you understand this, you'll stop trying to force outcomes. You'll start guiding energy. You'll see that manifestation is less about attracting something new and more about releasing what contradicts it. You can't pull joy into a mind obsessed with sorrow. You must empty first, then choose the opposite. Polarity is the art of choosing again. Not once, but in every breath. And soon, the world begins to mirror you. People show up with exactly the opportunities you've emotionally prepared yourself to receive. The timing feels effortless, almost orchestrated. But it isn't luck, it's coherence. You stopped sending mixed signals to the field. You tuned yourself into one frequency, and the universe simply played the matching song. Harmony is what happens when you no longer need to flip. It's when opposites coexist inside you without conflict, when you can hold both shadow and light in one breath. The state isn't apathy, it's pure power. You feel everything, yet nothing disturbs your center. From this stillness, manifestation happens faster, because nothing in you contradicts your intention. Harmony doesn't mean life stops moving. It means you stop swinging with it. You become the still axis around which reality rotates. Challenges arrive, but they no longer break you. Success comes, but it no longer blinds you. You exist at the calm center of duality, the golden mean, where creation becomes instantaneous. The true alchemist is not the one who escapes contrast, but the one who integrates it. They see darkness not as a threat, but as an invitation to depth. They know that light without shadow is blindness, and joy without sorrow is numbness. Real freedom is holding both poles gently, allowing each to teach the other. This is the sacred equilibrium where miracles unfold naturally. The shadow doesn't disappear when you understand it. It becomes transparent. Its weight turns into wisdom. And in that clarity, you see the truth. That manifestation was never about asking the universe for things, but about remembering you are the universe experiencing itself from a point of view. You are the observer collapsing waves into form. You are the quantum mirror flipping itself from fear into creation. When you finally see that, something shifts permanently. You stop praying to be saved and start acting like the answer. You stop asking for signs and start realizing you are the signal. Life ceases to be a sequence of random events and becomes a feedback loop of consciousness, every moment reflecting the quality of your awareness. When you become still, the reflection clears. When you become grateful, it brightens. When you become fearless, it expands. Shadow flipping is not a trick to manipulate energy. It is the recognition that energy never needed manipulation. It only needed allowance. Every emotion wants to move. Every story wants to complete its arc. What keeps pain alive is resistance. What keeps lack repeating is obsession. But when you allow, everything resolves back to balance, just as waves return to the ocean that made them. Here is the paradox. When you stop needing something, you become the version of yourself who already has it. That's why letting go works. It's not spiritual indifference. It's energetic congruence. The moment you no longer grasp, the energy becomes coherent. The lack dissolves. And what you once chased starts chasing you. It's not magic. It's physics obeying consciousness. So how do you live this way? Daily. You cultivate awareness of polarity in motion. Each night, ask yourself, where did I contract and where did I expand today? Where did I resist and where did I allow? Awareness alone starts to invert the pattern. You'll see that every irritation carries information, every emotion hides instruction, and every fear conceals its own antidote. When you wake up, breathe into the possibility that everything is already neutral, that life is simply waiting for your interpretation. You decide whether today is sacred or ordinary. You decide whether challenges are walls or doors. The universe doesn't punish or reward, it mirrors. And neutrality, paradoxically, is the most magnetic state of all. It tells reality, I am ready for any form of good. From that place, manifestation becomes speed, synchronicity, and ease. Over time, this practice becomes instinctive. You no longer force yourself to think positive. You simply stop labeling anything as negative. You start to see opposites not as threats, but as teachers. Anger becomes clarity, fear becomes care, guilt becomes compassion. Each emotion reveals its higher octave once you stop resisting its lower one. The pendulum that once swung violently between extremes begins to settle, and in that stillness, your power concentrates. The great mistake of our age is believing that peace comes from control. It doesn't. Control is the symptom of fear. Peace comes from alignment. When your inner polarity is balanced, external circumstances align themselves accordingly. You'll find that opportunities appear not through force, but through coherence, through resonance between thought, emotion, and action. Even science whispers this truth. Entropy seeks balance. The universe trends towards symmetry. Light bends around gravity to restore harmony. Why would consciousness, the most refined expression of that same universe, behave any differently? You are harmony seeking itself through human form. Every time you forgive, you're restoring symmetry to the field. Every time you choose patience over panic, you are aligning microcosm with macrocosm. Soon you'll notice something else. The more you practice shadow flipping, the less life feels like struggle, and the more it feels like choreography. Events arrive in rhythm. Conversations become meaningful. Even losses carry a strange grace, as if something wiser than logic were arranging them. That's because you've stepped out of resistance and into flow. The current of creation can finally move through you unobstructed. Harmony isn't passivity, it's creative stillness. It's the point from which true movement begins. From here, decisions become clear, intuition sharpens, and timing becomes perfect. You'll move faster, but with less effort. You'll speak less, but with more impact. And you'll realize that what you once called manifesting is really just conscious participation in a universe that was always listening. When harmony stabilizes, even desire evolves. You stop craving things for the sake of completion, because you already feel complete. Desire becomes expression, not escape. You create not to fill emptiness, but to extend fullness. This is the highest polarity reversal, the moment when wanting itself flips into giving. Abundance stops being something to attract and becomes something you radiate. And from this space, miracles appear ordinary. You think of someone, and they text you. You imagine a possibility, and it unfolds within days. You speak gently to your body, and it heals faster. These are not coincidences. They are the natural reflections of coherence. You have become the steady mirror in which the universe recognizes itself. But even here, humility remains vital. The more you awaken to your creative power, the more you realize it's not personal. The I that manifests is not the ego striving for comfort, but the consciousness using you as a vessel for expression. You are both participant and painter, both dreamer and dream. Shadow flipping simply returns you to that awareness. So the next time you feel darkness closing in, pause. Don't run. Don't analyze. Look closer. There, hidden within the shadow, is the exact frequency of your next breakthrough. The pain you feel now is not punishment. It's pressure. The universe compressing light into form. Hold the wave a little longer before collapsing it into meaning, and when you finally do, choose the meaning that liberates you. Every polarity you master becomes a tool of creation. Fear becomes intuition. Grief becomes love expanded. Chaos becomes structure in evolution. The very forces that once seemed to oppose you become your allies. You realize that reality was never happening to you. It was responding through you. In the end, shadow flipping isn't about speed, it's about depth. The faster you integrate your opposites, the less you need time. Creation becomes immediate because there's no delay between thought and allowance. The mirror no longer distorts. It reflects perfectly. And that's when you see that the real law of manifestation isn't attraction at all. It's reflection. Everything you seek already exists in the field. To receive it, you only need to see clearly, to hold the wave before naming it, to let the shadow speak before silencing it, to love both sides of the spectrum until they merge. Then, the universe stops being something you work with and becomes something you are. The observer and the observed reunite, and the game of polarity ends in pure awareness. That awareness is the birthplace of miracles. It's the quiet power behind every coincidence, every healing, every vision that suddenly becomes reality. When you reach it, you won't feel the need to manifest anymore. You'll simply watch as reality unfolds in harmony with your being. Because creation no longer requires effort. It responds instantly to coherence. So remember this, you are the quantum mirror. Every emotion is your paint, every choice your brushstroke. The shadows you once feared are simply unlit corners of your own divinity. Turn toward them, and they turn into light. Reverse them, and you reverse the laws of limitation. Embrace them, and you awaken the universe within. And when you do, life will no longer feel like something to master. It will feel like something sacred, a masterpiece painting itself through you, one reversal at a time.